characterized by a stable mood, ability to experiences, manage and express emotions, acceptance of self and others, a positive outlook, and freedom from worry. Everyday emotional well-being involves utilization of your strength. The better you are able to handle your emotions, the greater your capacity to enjoy life. The aim of the present webinar is to provide some directions on what contributes to emotional well-being and provide tips and tools for taking care of yourself, your family, and staying positive. Today we have four eminent panelists with us: Dr. Jaya Mohan, Dr. Lakshmi Badwar, Lieutenant Colonel Sukhvinder Singh Sodhi, and Dr. Harpreet Kaur. First, our panelist is Dr. Jaya Mohan. She is working as visiting psychologist in various DU colleges. She did her PhD on locus of control, quality of life, and behavior pattern of chronic low back pain patients. She is a recipient of ICSR Fellowship for Doctoral Research. She has acknowledged through various online courses from various universities around the world and published many papers in national and international journals. She will talk on IQ and components of EQ, self-awareness, social regulation, and empathy. Dr. Jaya. Dr. Jaya.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pranita. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be a part of this panel. I hope you all are well and doing fine. So, emotional well-being. Right. So, emotional well-being is an important part of our lives. Yet we give very little importance to it. And the fault doesn't lie with us. Actually, the fault lies in the way we have been brought up. From early childhood, we have been taught to look after our physical well-being more as compared to our mental well-being. So if we are having fever or we've injured ourselves, we rush to the doctor to get ourselves treated. But if we are feeling low for some time and don't feel like talking to somebody else around us, what do friends and family tell us? Basically, they tell us to tell that this is just a phase and this too shall pass. And they give little importance to emotional well-being, which is very, very important for all of us together. Talking about emotional well-being becomes all the more important in this time of uncertainty. And let me first begin by talking to you about IQ with you all. Why IQ? Because it has a universal appeal, and secondly, it is still considered as a benchmark to achieve success in life by many of us. So what is IQ? Basically, IQ is a broad ability to reason, to form concepts, to solve problems. It's about quantitative reasoning, reading and writing skills, our visual and auditory processing. For many years, it was thought that IQ is something genetic and it is passed from one generation to another. It is hereditary. But a lot of research has gone into this area, and it has been found that if we continue doing certain tasks regularly, we will be able to enhance our IQ levels by several points. And one way to do this is to work on our working memory. Now, working memory is, something which helps us to go about our daily lives. And if we work on certain cognitive tasks like dual and back and Stroop tasks, which are all available online, we are likely to enhance our IQ levels. Another thing is a lot of research has been done on listening to complex music. So if you listen to Mozart or some kind of classical music, let me tell you, a lot of students have joined in. let me tell you here that Eminem and The Shape of You is not going to work here. It has to be something complex and more of a classical nature. So if you listen to complex music for around 8 to 10 minutes daily, your IQ levels are likely to raise by 6 to 8 points, which is a phenomenal number. Learning a new language, playing Sudoku, Scrabble, these mind games, exercising regularly, they not only give you mental agility, they also improve your IQ levels. But now let me take you to the year 2017. 2017 was an unfortunate year in terms of suicides, and we lost around 4 of our students from the premier institute of the country, our IITs. And you will all agree with me that IIT students belong to high IQ levels of people. Then there was another study done in Harvard University. It was a study, it's a very famous study done on 95 students of Harvard. And students, it was found that students with high scores were not successful as compared to their lower scoring peers in terms of their salary, productivity, status, and satisfaction with friendships and family. So this is a big pointer towards, that IQ is not the only thing which is working towards making all of us successful in life. And that thing is EQ actually. In fact, IQ is just the tip of the iceberg, and it plays only 20% role in making us successful in life. The major part, which is 80%, is governed by emotional intelligence, or what we call emotional quotient. So EQ, what is emotional intelligence now? Emotional intelligence is our ability to motivate ourselves and persist in the face of frustrations. It is about controlling our impulse and delaying gratification, to regulate one's mood and keep distress from prompting the ability to think, and also to empathize and to hope. The good thing is that we can learn to become emotionally intelligent. And let me show you how. So the first step towards becoming emotionally intelligent is to create self-awareness and building a vocabulary for our emotions. Most of us experience emotions in a very limited way. We either experience anger, joy, or sadness. That is our basic vocabulary for emotions. But we need to, expand and look at how we are experiencing our emotions. So is it joy that we are feeling? Is it serenity, or is it ecstasy? Is there anger in us, or is there rage, or it's just a mild annoyance that we are experiencing? Is there terror? Is there fear or apprehension? We need to distinguish between these fine nuances of emotions, and that will create a lot of self-awareness in ourselves. Another thing is to starting to embrace your emotions. Most of us, we shy away from intense emotions. We run away from our emotions. So once the vocabulary is there with us, it's time to start embracing our emotions. And it is also very important to, learn that it is basically our thoughts and our feelings and emotions are created by our thoughts. And basically, our emotions are governing our behavior. And mostly, our thoughts are not based on facts. So challenging our thoughts with facts is something that we can learn to do. And we can also start looking at alternative responses and seeing the consequence of those alternative responses, and maybe learning to choose the best option available. So once you've done that, you can do another exercise with yourself to bring about self-awareness. And I do it very often with my students in the sessions. You can list your top 10 weaknesses and list your top 10 qualities and strengths. And that will give you a lot to think about and ponder and reflect. The next step would be to bring about emotional regulation. Once you become aware of your emotions, it is also important to learn how you can regulate your emotions. So if you are experiencing anxiety, you need to, understand the landscape of your anxiety, where you are feeling it, in what way you are experiencing it, what are the triggers of your anxiety, and then maybe you can challenge them with a lot of facts. And probably, learn a couple of relaxation exercises, do some relaxation training to help cope with anxiety. Similarly, with anger, you need to identify the triggers, mitigate the information, and give yourself some cooling period, before reacting to whatever is the stimulus to your anger. Many people, when they experience sadness, they tend to go into isolation. But contrary to that, you need to, socialize and indulge in behavioral activation. Involve yourself in several activities which are pleasant and distracting events. So there are several ways that you can learn to go about handling your emotions. That is emotional regulation. So emotionally intelligent people are very socially they are very skillful, and there is one way that you can become socially skillful is by learning the art of cooperation. To just observe and to catch on to find nuances which are existing in a group and working according to the group dynamics. Besides that, conflict resolution is also an important element of skillful social behavior. So there are three ways of conflict resolution. There is one aggressive way, there is one passive, and there is one collaborative way. So collaborative way is the best option while you are resolving your conflicts. It gives you a win-win situation where both the parties are very happy and satisfied with the result of the whatever solution they arrive at. And similarly, for negotiating a compromise, you can look at the situation and then go in for options available, explore the consequences, and choose the most appropriate solution. So you have to be very skillful socially to become emotionally intelligent, and that is something that can be learned with practice. Now, in this time of pandemic, it becomes all the more important to become empathetic with each other. Normally, what we are doing, we are showing sympathy towards each other. We say, "Oh, it's so bad that it has happened to you," and very few people are able to empathize, and they say that, "Okay, I'm able to feel what you are feeling." So empathy is so much about, becoming an active listener and putting oneself in another person's shoes to experience the same emotions as they are feeling. And it is so, so important in these times to become empathetic towards each other. Let me also tell you that empathy forms the base of altruism and a lot of compassion. And by becoming active listeners, of course, we can, inculcate a lot of empathy in ourselves. And that is also, one characteristic of emotionally intelligent people. And I believe a lot of audience today belongs to the National Cadet Corps, and I'm sure you're very high on motivation and you've been training with a lot of discipline. But you can, up your level of motivation by inculcating these habits in you. You can become more optimistic. You can, control your impulse. You can delay gratification, and maybe you can start working for, not for external rewards, but for internal satisfaction of whatever you are working towards, which is called intrinsic motivation. I would also suggest that you try and learn into going into the zone of flow. So what is zone of flow? I'm sure we all have experienced this in some time in our lives. We get so engrossed in a particular job that we just lose track of time. So this is also a characteristic of emotionally intelligent people, and of course, with a lot of practice, we can all inculcate these habits in ourselves. So these are the five core components of emotional intelligence. Besides this, there are certain core values you can develop in yourself, which is, creativity. Creativity is not about, doing new things only. It is also about, doing our routine tasks differently. So the more creative you are in your daily lives, the more emotionally intelligent you are likely to become. Of course, learn to trust that emotional instinct that you have. Sometimes it always pays to go by your gut instincts. So that is one trait of emotionally intelligent people. Another interesting concept is that of mindfulness. and which comes from meditation. Mindfulness is a Buddhist concept, and it is being taught globally now. And it says that you should learn to remain in the present rather than by going to our past or to the future. So mindfulness can be inculcated with a lot. There are a lot of activities that you can take up to inculcate mindfulness in yourself. And of course, the very fact that all of you are here listening to something new, a new topic, shows that you're open to new experiences, and you can, of course, experience new things in life that will open new vistas for you, and of course, up your emotional intelligence by several notches. So, wish you all the best. Let me summarize for you. To enhance your IQ, involve yourself regularly in cognitive tasks like Stroop, Dual and Back, Sudoku, learn a new language, listen to complex music, and to become emotionally intelligent, become aware of yourself, regulate your emotions, empathize, manage relationships, keep yourself motivated. Stay positive and stay happy. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Jaya Mohan. आपने बहुत ही अच्छे ढंग से हमको बताया कि इमोशनल वेलबींग के लिए सोशल स्किल, सेल्फ रेगुलेशन कितना इम्पोर्टेंट है. IQ and EQ, this is also very important thing just to keep ourselves emotionally healthy. In the same way, you have explained us that how we can keep our IQ up, like doing by relaxation techniques, by emotional regulation, by developing some core values, and be creative. Mindfulness and meditation, all these things will help to keep our emotional well-being up. Thank you, Dr. Jaya Mohan. Now, I request next panelist, Dr. Lakshmi Badwal. She is a clinical neuropsychologist in UK, done neuropsychology course and clinical psychology training from British Psychological Society. She did her postgraduate research fellowship from University of Manchester. She is a registered clinical psychologist with a Health Professional Council and a national trainer for an integrative psychological model. She has published many papers in national and international journals. She is going to talk about functions of the emotions, stages of emotional development, the emotional problems experienced by young adults, and how to manage those problems. Dr. Lakshmi Badwal.
Hello, hi, good morning to everyone, and I'm so excited to connect with everybody and share my experiences, clinical experiences, my research experiences of working in UK, and yeah, and basically I like being very interactive so that nobody goes off to sleep, especially students. And I had prepared a presentation, but because of technical hitch with my computer, I wasn't able to sort of upload on the system. Anyway, I'm happy to take questions as well as towards the end. I would like to start with kind of thank you, Dr. Jaya Mohan. You have covered pretty much everything. So I'm just wondering what do I say differently. So basically, in terms of kind of talking about, I'm going to share experiences of my clinical experience, daily experiences. I work in a hospital setting, and I kind of I'm the lead clinician in the hospital, and I lead multidisciplinary teams. So basically, MDT means kind of having doctors, nurses, support workers to join the sessions, and in those sessions we discuss how a young person can be supported. Normally we have young people who have got very kind of chronic, persisting, emotional, psychological, intellectual issues. So kind of so I work towards kind of with very chronically ill patients. So in terms of kind of my role, as I said, I do assessments, kind of EQ is I am EQ leads to 80% success rather than IQ. So the big question is, how do we develop, kind of course, there are a lot of instructions, do this, don't do that, do this. And for young people, it can be very overwhelming, very sort of challenging. And I feel a lot of young people are, have got so much of instructions, in terms of, loads of do's and don'ts. And as, everybody recognizes that this stage of development is in itself is a very critical stage of development. It's kind of the young people are at the cusp, neither they are young people nor they are grown up, and they have to kind of they're expected to fulfill loads of roles and responsibilities, to be, kind of behave like adults. And again, what Dr. Jayamohan was saying, the foundation of a good personality is being laid in the early childhood. How the parents interact, and what kind of behaviors get reinforced, what kind of behaviors gets criticized. So basically, in that context, the brain develops. So in terms of the tip, I'm just going to go through my slide. Every emotion has a specific action urge that pushes us to act in a certain way. So if somebody, and sadly, often we escape the pain of emotions in harmful ways, such as young people, especially young women, indulge in a lot of comfort eating. And eating disorder has become in India as well a kind of a bit of issue. Anyway, I'm stating.
वापस भी कर देना please. नौकरी करती है
Please say the T. If you remove it or just turn off the mic.
Listeners, mute yourself. Tuba Sabreen, can you please mute yourself? She has done that. Sorry.
No worries.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. So I'm just going to, share some tips, kind of in terms of how to regulate emotions. It's an experiential exercise, kind of which we conduct with our students and our patients in the hospital. Basically, in this exercise, kind of, it's as I said, it's a very experiential exercise. You have to kind of, sit in a sort of in a corner, in a quiet space, observe your emotions, describe your emotions. And as I was saying previously, every emotion has a specific action urge that pushes us to act in a certain way. So basically, like take an example of kind of fear. So when people feel fear, what action urge people get? I'm just kind of, what action urge people tend to get? Mainly to escape the situation. So that's the action urge. So in order to, and what our physiology is telling us to act on those urges. So in order to kind of, not to sort of, and then you have to evaluate the situation, whether this, kind of is going to be beneficial for, for me or not. So if it's a quick analysis, deep analysis, the moment you realize it's not beneficial for me or for somebody else, then you take another step, and you do an opposite action. So basically, in terms of emotional management, the technique is figure out the emotion you're feeling. What is the action urge that goes with this emotion? Ask yourself, does the emotion fit the facts? If yes, will act on the emotion urge will be effective. Again, ask yourself, do I need to change the emotion? If yes, figure out the opposite action. do the opposite action all the way, so repeat the actions acting in an opposite way until the emotional distress decreasing. So ask yourself the following questions as a guide to opposite action. Observe and describe the emotion. What is the current emotions you want to change? What does it feel like for you? What is your action urge? So this is kind of the more kind of how to manage your like experiential tip, and it needs to be repeated over and over again in order to enhance or your emotional literacy, be better at regulating your emotions. And then kind of normally, there are 3 responses we do when we see a difficult situation. Either we kind of act on the basis of emotions, or we act on the basis of facts. So basically, combining logic and fact is a good strategy in order to overcome distress and manage emotions effectively. So that's kind of any other questions, kind of anybody wants to ask, or
Ma'am, we will do the question answer round session in the end when all the panelists. So we'll take up those questions. We are noting down from the chat box, and then we'll ask each and every panelist from there.
Okay, that's from me. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Dr. Pranita Gaur. Thank you, Dr. Lakshmi Badwan. It was a very informative lecture.
Kind of presentation. I'm mindful of the time.
It's perfectly fine, ma'am. We are very thankful that you have spared your time and you were here with us. And we are very happy that you have shared certain tips also related to what we should be approaching for being emotionally well-being. May I now request Dr. Lieutenant Colonel Sukhwinder Singh Sodhi to please present his talk and share his views about emotional well-being with us.
Before that, let me introduce Lieutenant Colonel Sukhwinder Singh Sodhi.
Yeah, I'm here now, I think.
Right. Pranita ma'am, go ahead, please.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry for this technical problem. Now, may I introduce our next panelist, who is Lieutenant Colonel Sukhwinder Singh Sodhi. He is DGM at ONGC, Secretary at Society of Petroleum Engineers, Lieutenant Colonel in Indian Army, having 27 years of diverse experience in contracts management, crisis management, strategic planning, team building, executive training, coordinating external environment of organization, aligning corporate policies and change management. He is MBA from University of Jammu. He will discuss on emotional health and its impact on health performance and relationship. Sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pranita Gaur. And good evening to everybody here in the audience. So thanks to Dr. Jayamon and Dr. Lakshmi. So they have already covered a major part of the background of the emotional health, emotional intelligence. I'll first connect it what Dr. Jayamon has categorically told, ki the thought has a connection with behaviors. So I like to let the students know how thought is connected with the behavior, because if you will understand the roadmap, then you will be able to relate onto that very fast. So thought, when we say thought, you have a thought in your mind, it gives rise to an action. Because whenever we generate a thought, it gives a rise to an action. And when we repeat an action, it starts forming our habit, a repeated action. Because we do one action and then we continue doing that action because of their thoughts, so it becomes our habit. And continuous habit, when we adopt, it becomes part of our behavior. And behavior ultimately becomes our part of personality. So this students must know how important it is, the connection between a thought and a personality. So you may be thinking, I am thinking very secretly in my mind, nobody knows it. But you must be very careful. This thought is going to determine your behavior. It is ultimately going to determine your personality, and it is going to determine your rather future, your destiny. So this thing should be very clear onto the students and to all of us. Second part, when we talk of a emotional health or emotional intelligence, emotional well-being, we should be very careful that it is not our emotional health we should be conscious of. That has to take a second place. You have to be emotionally conscious for others, the people around you. If you're in a family, then your parents, your siblings, your spouse. If you're at a workplace, then your colleagues. If for students, it's the other students. Because very, very important, you have to note down what is said is not important, how it is said is important. The human being is identified through a communication. हमारा सबसे जो कनेक्ट है ना दूसरे जानवर और इंसान में जो फर्क है वो कम्युनिकेशन का ही फर्क है. So how it is said, it goes to heart, and what is said, it goes to mind. So moment how it is said goes to the heart, it generates a feeling, it generates an emotion. So that person becomes aligned with you or does not align with you. If he aligns or does not align, it has an impact on your emotion. Your close one in a family, if you do not know how it is to be said, and you are attacking on the hurt, his feelings are getting disturbed, that is automatically going to impact your behavior, your emotions, your personality onto that part. So I have to add this part. You have to be very, very sensitive onto this part, how we have to communicate. So when we say communicate, hello, when you say communicate, that how it is said and what is said, how it is said becomes very important. But now when somebody else is communicating to us, at that stage, our occurring is very important. How we understand the aspect. Now, Dr. Lakshmi is telling to 225 people some part of emotional intelligence or emotional behavior. 225 people will think in a 225 ways. And that occurring will depend on your own server, your brain, your mind, how you are processing that input data. And your server depends on what you have been built during the last 15-20 years. Average age should be 20-20 years. So how during 20 years your personality has been developed, that will depend on processing of the data, what I am telling you. So here comes the emotional health into the formation of the emotional behavior or your emotional intelligence into that how a thing occurs to you. Now maybe your mother has criticized you on some aspect. Now whether you are taking it as interference or you are taking her love for you, her expression of love to guide you, right? A professor might instruct you very heartedly, he may insult you, she may insult you in the class. Now it depends on the student, what is her occurring. Does she feel insulted? Does she feel guided? Does she feel that it is her check on her behavior? So it will all depend on an individual's personality, and that will determine your emotion. So you have to be very careful that what is your occurring when somebody else is communicating with you, and your occurring will determine your emotion. Now coming down to emotion, at that stage you should be very clear about emotion, feeling and a thought. There is a very strong connection between these three. So if you have right thought, it will generate feelings, and feelings will again generate emotions. Emotions is unconscious, the thought process becomes very, very fast in the brain, and it gives rise to emotion. At that stage we start crying, or we start reacting, we start getting angry, we may become even violent, So you have to be very careful that emotion is generally unconscious. That is why Dr. Jayamon told you, all of you, that you should be aware with the vocabulary of the emotional intelligence or emotion subject. because if you are aware, that will help you to check yourself. So moment you get aware that you are check yourself, you can control your whole process, right? The question comes, how this all process impacts your health. That's the thing which I wanted to cover for all of you, because health is a major issue. If you are not healthy, right, physically or mentally, you can't do anything. Coming to college is a pure waste of time. You as a citizen of a nation or a humanity is just a waste. You know, you are basically become a parasite if you are not mentally or physically healthy. So as you get emotion, when you are impacted by somebody's behavior, because now it is your occurring, somebody may be unkind to you, or some incident has happened to you, there is a loss of a family member, there are challenging situations every day in life. So it gives you a feeling of sadness. To others, it may give a feeling of unhappiness, or it may give you irritation, it may give you anxiety, right? And so many these type of feelings will start coming. Your negative thoughts may start coming. Now all this process, when starts happening in our mind on a repeated basis, on everyday basis, suppose an employee goes to the boss, he comes to me, and every day I am irritating that person, and that person I am trying to irritate, but no, it depends on the other person whether he gets irritated or not. Now if he starts getting irritated on a regular basis, it is going to become his behavior, his personality, and this irritation is going to land him into an erratic thinking, and that erratic thinking will undermine his logic, his reasoning, his intelligence, and he may even, you know, do something which is not proper. A person who is getting angry, a child, like you are a student, your father or your mother, parents may be interfering in your life, right? And it gives rise to anger. And now a repeated anger is what? You know, it's very clear to all of us. It is a cause of blood pressure, diabetic, and then further it is a cause of heart attack. So your health goes for 6, you know, when you are like not able to watch your emotions. No, you are helpless. You are feeling helpless in some situation, right? You may feel this other student is very rich, you know, she comes from a well-to-do family, or she's very beautiful, she's got a very nice figure, and you are feeling that I am not able to reduce my weight, or I am feeling helpless, I am not from a rich family, my parents are not well off. No, this helplessness is going to impact on your self-worth, your self-esteem. No, this is going to land you in depression. You see all the things which is happening around us when you watch people going to doctors. Doctors are having a good job. You know, they're getting a lot of money because there is nothing called emotional well-being. We are all emotional well-being born as a very lovely creatures. It is the morass which has come on us. So you don't have to become emotionally well-being. You have to take care of the morass. You understand the morass? The गंदगी जो हमारी इस दुनिया से आ जाती है, jealousy आ रही है, मतलब we are getting affected with the people, behavior जो हमारा गुस्से का हो रहा है, प्यार से बात नहीं कर रहे हैं, caring नहीं है, sharing is caring. We don't share with people, you know, है ना? We thought कि मेरा secret निकल जाएगा, मेरा जुलूस निकल जाएगा, लोग मेरे बारे में क्या कहेंगे? But you should be very clear on your mind. Sharing is caring. And this caring and this love ultimately helps you to build yourself. Now you are going for facials, you know, spending so much of money on your facials, but this is a temporary skin shine, you know. If you are joyful inside, if you are blissful inside, your skin will radiate. So to radiate that skin, to radiate that part of your body, now you have to have that morass to be. You don't have to think, I will think positive, I will do this, I will do this. You stop thinking negative things. You stop the गंदगी. घर में जो पोछा मारते हो ना, पहले अपनी आत्मा पे पोछा मारो, है ना? अपनी आत्मा पे पोछा मारने का तरीका क्या है? एक्सरसाइज करो, प्रेयर करो, है ना? वाइज पीपल की कंपनी करो. very important for all of you to have a company of wise people around you. Don't allow any stupid people around you. They are like virus. You know, the virus word is very famous. They will transfer their thinking, their process of thought, behavior to you subconsciously. Now you will say, no, I am very alert, nothing happens to me. It happens, you know. Now how do you identify a tree? Because I use the word subconsciously, so I am trying to be as simpler as possible to the students, specifically because I am speaking to them. Now, the tree's root and tree's health is determined by the roots. I hope everybody is clear onto that aspect. Similarly, human mind is just 20% conscious, 80% is subconscious. That is your root. So people around you, the viruses around you are impacting your roots, your subconscious, right? You have to be very careful, but you cannot ignore everybody. You in this case we are wearing masks, but when you are having taking care of your emotions, you have to morning get up, just get onto the bed and get first to the prayer, and get onto the exercise, read some good books. So most important this part, and the most important part to protect yourself is to have a discipline, to have a clear goal in your mind, what you want to do in life. If you have a clear goal in your life, nobody can impact you. Added with a discipline, everything is, if you have to eat food at 1 o'clock, just eat food at 1 o'clock. If you have to get up at 6 o'clock, get up at 6. If you can't get up at 6, get up at 8, but then get up at 8, right? You should be very fixed. So that discipline you should create for yourself, it will help you to strengthen your mind faculties. Moment your mind faculties get strengthened, your health will be perfectly okay. You need not run around here and there, go to doctors, and I will surprise you the feelings which we get when we are very sad, and we feel unhappy, we get angry. It is impacting our heart, And when you are getting like anger, fear is a big thing. You know how much COVID fear has landed all of us into, and you will find a lot of people having liver and kidney problems, gastric problems. No, this gastric happens when, when there is a fear. Gastric happens when, it also happens when you eat wrong things, you eat fried foods. The typical Indian food, we set into pakoras, golgappas, we start and pizzas and McDonald's burgers and all. This is going to mess up your health, but kindly understand the emotion in brain is the gas of brain is what? It is emotions. It is a pure gas. The gas in your abdominal produces bloody unnecessary sounds. It creates uncomfortableness and it even attacks your heart, It becomes so dangerous. It gets into head pain, it gets into neck pain. It becomes unbearable if you ask people. And similarly, the gas of the brain is emotion. So action is an important part. Action will come if you are clear in your discipline, if you are clear in your prayers, right? Just get into prayers. You be very conscious. There is a difference between ritualism and prayers. है ना? नहीं जी मैंने तो दिया जगा दिया, मैंने अगरबत्ती घुमा दी. This is ritual, This is not going to impact your mind health, Your mental health will be impacted very clearly with a proper prayer, with proper affirmations to yourself, and with proper the classical music, what we call the Gurbani music we have, the Gurdwaras have what? Similar thing. Guru Nanak told Shabad Guru hai. Because with that Shabad, when you speak, it impacts your vibrations in the brain. It clears the dirt, the way we clear the vacuum cleaner in the home, we take out the dirt. This Shabad, when you vibrate, when you read Gurbani or you maybe read Gita, so what happens, the word Guru Nanak told will clean your mind. It will just impact so fresh, you will be fresh. And you are again able to take the new virus which is going to come across. Maybe even through your siblings, somebody may be feeling envy of you, somebody your cousin, somebody your friend. So you have to, on daily basis, clean yourself. As you start cleaning yourself, you won't think of being emotional healthy, because a natural person is born as a lovable creature. A human being is the natural feeling, the God which has given us is a love. And that is the purest form of emotional well-being. But in the process of getting jealousy, in process of being show off, process of being looking good, impressing people, so we mess up everything. So I would like to advise or suggest to all the people here who are there. So this impacts your health, and I hope you have understood how it impacts health. Now, once your health is impacted, what happens? It reflects on your behavior, right? So when your behavior is getting compromised, your team working is not there. So when your team working is not there, your relationships are messed up. Because on every day, if you are having an irritating behavior with your colleague, with your spouse, what will happen? Divorce, that simple thing. No, how much the person will tolerate? And a breakup, somebody will say, okay, mess up, chahiye nahi, teri company nahi chahiye. Parents will get irritated, or separate ho jao, yaar shaadi kari, ab tum separate hi ho jao. Because we are not, our behavior is not okay. So because of our behavior is linked with your thought, your action, Because of behavior, your relationships are not okay. So if you are not having a team building culture, if your relationships are not okay, imagine your performance. हम बोलते हैं ना गुस्से में बड़ा परेशान था यार गाड़ी एक्सीडेंट कर देगा लाल, because your brain is not balanced, you know. Brain is not balanced, so what will happen? So you will make an accident, you will have a breakups, you will do wrong choices in life, right? So all these type of things happen. So a single thought is going to get lot of revenues to doctor, because your health will get messed up. A thought, a behavior will really put the advocate flourishing. He's going to buy big cars. You see all advocates buying big cars because your relationships are messed up. Families are disputing on the way of dividing the wealth. Husband, wives are fighting. Brothers are fighting. What? People are fighting on the roadside, the murders. All this behavior is impacting the relationship at every place. And see the performance. What happens? You are not able to manage a small virus. If it is happening, no hospitals, no beds, no ventilators, confusions and everything. So performance gets impacted. So my request and my experience in life is that manage your thoughts, clean yourself on regular everyday basis. Clean yourself means not the bath that you have to take physical requirement, the mental bath. Follow a discipline, have a goal in your mind very clearly set, and I assure you a good health and a good relationship and 100% performance wherever you are. In your case, it is exam and studies. In faculty's case, is teaching. So whatever people are here, so it will surely impact. So that's what I have to say. I don't know. I have much time. I can keep on speaking. It depends on the moderator. If my time is still there, I can cover something else or I'll stop.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Really, you have given a very beautifully you have explained about the emotional health, that how we can keep our emotions healthy, communication healthy, and really you have given very important thing about our physical health and about our behavior, that how we can improve our behavior, especially in the communication. We should develop sharing with the family members and with other people also. We should have love for everyone. We should develop good values. Only then we can keep our emotional health good. And if we are doing prayer, exercises, or we are keeping ourselves in proper discipline, then obviously we can balance our mind. And if we balance our mind, then obviously we can improve our performance, or we can improve our relationship also. Nowadays, many times we are having emotional relationship problem only because we are not satisfied. We are not emotionally healthy. All the time, if we are keeping negativity in our mind, so obviously negativity will not help us. But if we keep positivity in our life, then obviously emotional health से हमारी performance भी improve होगी और हमारे relations भी improve होंगे. Thank you, sir. आपने बहुत ही अच्छा, बहुत ही सुंदर ढंग से हमारे emotional health के बारे में लोगों को समझाया. Thank you, sir. The next panelist is our principal, Dr. Harpreet Kaur, principal of Mata Sundari College. She was former vice principal of Shri Guru Gobind Singh College of Commerce, University of Delhi. She has penchant for writing and has to her credit 22 books, 6 book chapters, 17 research papers in national journal, 4 research papers in international journals, and 60 books reviews. She will talk about emotional wellness in COVID-19, isolation, introspection, and illumination. Dr. Harpreet Kaur.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Parinita. Thank you, Gurvinder, now giving me this opportunity. And my panelists before me was very varied. You know, they have given different opinions. Dr. Jaya Mohan has defined what is emotional intelligence and given relevant to very robust examples for that also. And Dr. Lakshmi also says that, you know, you have to figure out your emotions, and that supposedly is a precondition. You know, after that only you can really achieve something. And Mr. Sukhwinder Singh has given very beautiful presentation by saying that you have to be emotionally conscious of others, and also to keep good company and also pray. But I would really speak only on this crisis situation, because we all are going through very different times of our life, very difficult times of our life. And that is why applying all these becomes very, very important. And that is why, emotional wellness in COVID-19 situation is really very difficult, but you must have certain prescriptions around it. And that is what I'm trying to do it, that I will give you some guidelines how we can get over the negativity in this situation and be positive. Now, we all know that emotional, physical, intellectual, social, and spiritual wellness are very closely related to each other. If I'm physically fit, my positive emotions will be there, and this has been really elucidated by Mr. Sukhwinder Singh, that कि आप डॉक्टर्स को बिना पैसा फालतू नहीं दोगे अगर आपकी सोच ठीक होगी. And this will make possibly my intellectual pursuits. I can intellectually be, on a higher side only if I am positive. My social values will also thrive in such an atmosphere. And all this will create a space for emotional and spiritual wellness that will be instrumental in making my life balanced. So my life can be balanced only when I balance all my emotions and thoughts. Emotional wellness in this pandemic situation is a real challenge. The progression of COVID-19 into global pandemic is an unprecedented phase. And this pandemic has taken scary dimensions, and I'm sure we all are really scared to step out of our houses. And no matter to which country we belong, we have a panelist, Dr. Lakshmi from UK also, and I'm sure there also people are not moving out of their houses and they are scared. And in this globalized world, we have been, traveling, dining, socializing, shopping, and these things gave us a lot of happiness. And these were integral part of our lives. But these so-called essential activities, we have shunned. Not only the government has told us, but we have also shunned, because this is not going to ensure our safety. The events are truly not under our control, and that is why there is helplessness. When will this lockdown be over, and what will happen to our health, and so on? Now, social distancing we call, but rather it could be physical space distancing is the best remedy in this situation. And so we are locked in our homes, and self-isolation is there in most of us. But we are so used to a very, very fast lifestyle. And that is why, how to make, our time productive and fruitful is utmost in our minds. In these times, it is important to reframe what we believe and understand the real life perspective. These bleak times require lightness of being and realization of one's own self. The essential threads of fundamental human values and emotions need to be realized at this juncture, because digital transformation has changed everything now. But what is happening is human values and emotions are, somewhere taking a back seat. And today, different people are facing different problems. For example, if you take the school children, they are confined in their homes, of course. There's a physical space of playing is just confined to their houses. And not only that, this digital transformation has connected them with the schools, with uninterrupted school teaching on. The college students are, of course, and I have most of the college, many students are there, a part of this group also. They are also anxious that if, how will their exam take place, if at all, and what will happen, during the examination or their internal assessment and so on. So this is another challenge with the college students are facing. The professionals are really worried about their jobs. The elderly are concerned about their health. Women are concerned about their domestic chores. And if they are professionals, how to balance this domestic chores with their, their professional lives. Now, men are forced to sit at home and think about retaining their livelihoods. That is paramount in their minds, because, rate of attrition today is very high, and they are really scared that they might lose their job. The migrants of the country are anxious, abandoned, angry, and also hungry and dejected, Lord. And they have no plan of action that when they will reach their native place, what will happen? How will they restore their livelihoods? So whatever we think impact our lives. And if we just thrive on the negativity of the situation, it will strike us harshly. So positive emotions are required for positively coping up even in the adverse circumstances like these. Positivity is required in thought and action in both. My creative interest would make me explore new vistas, and joyfulness will make me have the urge to play and enjoy the lighter aspects of life. But provided we realize this, in this present situation, do not let the negative emotions take over you. Your emotional health will enhance overall happiness and well-being. We have a ample time, and we can devote time to our family, friends for unwinding. People have to be positively engaged. We have long forgotten hobbies also, and through meditation and many other things, we can actually be very, very positive. The feelings of anxiety or stress can be overcome by devoting time to meditation and praying regularly to renew one's spirit. So, what is important in this situation is self care. Now, regarding self care, mind you, I would just like to explain that it is that you have to take care of your own self first, and then it will embolden you to take care of others. Like when we sit in aircraft, it is announced that you first wear your mask and then help the others to wear the mask. Similarly, in this situation also, our health, our health is most important, and then we can help others to be the other people to be healthy. If I have to survive, my neighborhood, my maid, my neighbors, my family members, all have to be healthy. So it is here that community has come in, and we have grown a bond with the community. So first time preserving health of others have become paramount in our minds. Always we had been thinking about our own health, but now we are also concerned about the health of others. In this sense, for mental health, we should avoid all negativities and frustration and cover oneself with a mask of positivity. For as good times pass away, the bad times will also go very soon. We just have to be very, very patient. Now, this care for the self has very simple stages involved in it. And firstly, manage your sleep and sleep schedule, because we tend to just get upset with the sleep and sleep schedule. This will balance your immune system. Do some exercise. It can be jogging, it can be yoga, it can be walking inside the house or just outside in the open area to relieve your stress. Also control impulsive snacking or eating, because as has been pointed out earlier, that eating disorders are paramount in this generation, and we tend to become sick because we are not eating right. Make place for hobbies in these long hours of leisure. Now, laziness is very rejuvenating, and we have been always, craving for some holiday. And now that we have it, enjoy it. And now that you have got it, but try to balance it with your work as well. Control extreme emotions, stress, anger, criticism, etc. Avoid conflict and conflict situations. Be healthy, be creative. And so these are very simple steps through which you can be really positive. Now, self-realization is important for upliftment, and in this crisis for one and all, it is an opportune time that we dwell upon the name of God, who is so, Guru mere sang sada hai nale. My Guru is always with me, near at hand. Now, the state of consciousness of a person should be focused on meditating upon the name, which will help in reducing anxiety, stress, and depression. And this will definitely help the people to be emotionally stable and calm. Of course, we had been doing this in Sangat, and Mr. Sukhwinder Singh also emphasized on this Sangat and Shabad. And so it is, Sangat has been really imperative for solace. But now that we cannot go to our religious places where we would gather together for positivity, what can be done? Now, e-Sangat is coming up. There are people who are, rich or poor, with the different places, they are coming together and connecting with each other. So one should yearn to attach with oneself to Shabad Guru, and many problems of your life would not be there. And we can understand Bani also. So we have to, and this transformation will be there inside you. It is time for introspection, reflection, reality check, and transformation. This transformation, although it's not very easy, but we should not have any accompanying feeling of doom and doom, because we are going through a very, very low phase. It is time when we can elevate ourselves spiritually. Of course, we can see many positive developments also around us. For example, we have, we can enjoy what is cleanliness, because cleanliness is next to godliness. And in this change scenarios, we have seen when, human beings are confined in their homes, the man-made cities, forests, rivers, all are unpolluted, all are clean and shining. The sweet melody of chirping birds can be heard. Many animals have comfortably entered the human-made abodes. A monkey, deer, leopards are all seen walking on the urban streets. Dolphin, other sea animals, and birds are having a free swim without human intervention in the cleaner seas and oceans. The nature that has been neglected for long is visible in all beautiful hues and colors. So in this global crisis, we can enjoy that, this unpolluted atmosphere. Also, we can do whatever is best in ourselves. For example, we can donate or do some services or seva, which like many of the gurdwaras are doing a lot in this vein, and we all know about it. So this is the time that we can bring out what is best in ourselves rather than worse, but now sadly what we are seeing is that what is worst in us is coming out. So now it is the time to serve the needy. It is time to serve the people, because a lot of problems are strewn all over in the society, and we can also uplift ourselves and give time to us, our own self and our family. Of course, I understand present is tense, but let us live it to the fullest in the present to get over this tense situation. Yes, the times are very tough, but the humans have to be tougher to overcome this calamity. The lifeline of the people has to go on in this public health crisis, and the lost human interactions have to be made as soon as possible. So in my understanding, isolation can lead us to introspection, especially self-introspection, which in turn would lead us to illumination. That is correct recourse to come out of this dim phase of humanity. So when my Lord and Master has blessed me with his mercy, O Nanak, then his name entered the home of my mind. I think I end with this book of Gurbani, Hoye Kripal Swami Apna Nao, Nanak Ghar Mah Aaye Jio. So that, we can be spiritually elevated also, we can get over all the tense situations also, and we can be positive also if we are taking the correct perspective in life. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. We all are illuminated after listening your talk. कहते हैं दूसरे से मिलना तो बहुत आसान है, यदि मुश्किल है तो वो खुद से खुद की मुलाकात। हम अपनी खुशी बाहर ढूंढते हैं बिना ये जाने कि सारी खुशी, ज्ञान, सारी शक्तियां तो हमारे अंदर ही मौजूद हैं। दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा खजाना हमारे अंदर ही है। इंट्रोस्पेक्शन कर हम उसे आसानी से पा सकते हैं और अपनी वेल बीइंग को इम्प्रूव कर सकते हैं। Thank you all the panelists for sharing your views and giving us directions that how we can maintain our emotional well-being. As rightly said, wellness is a journey which requires practice. Thanks again to all the panelists. May I request Dr. Pooja Vadhavan and Mrs. Ishleen Kaur to commence with question-answer session. Pooja and Ishleen, please.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We have received a lot of questions, and we are being bombarded with so many questions right now, and they are beautiful questions which we are receiving. But there are few questions which we have selected, and we'll ask them. We'll read out the names of the participants, and they can introduce themselves, and they can directly ask their questions from the panelists whom they would like to ask. So may I request, we have received one question from Dr. Hemlata. Is she there? Her question
Can you hear me, Pooja?
Yes. So her question is there? Yeah, please, you can ask your question, and to whom, please specify.
First of all, thank you, Dr. Vadhavan, and thank you all the panelists for taking us on a very insightful journey towards enhancing our emotional well-being. I just wanted to know from Dr. Lakshmi, is there any difference between emotional well-being and mental well-being? Can we equate mental well-being with IQ? I mean, I'm a little confused on those lines.
Hi, thank you for putting this question. basically mental health and emotional health, they are interlinked. Mental health is kind of in UK, I'm going to use UK examples, is used in a little, it has got a little negative connotation. Thoda sa, negativity hai. Or emotional health is a more trendy, more, with less negative connotation. So a lot of kind of, in UK and in kind of Western culture, the trend is nowadays using more kind of emotional health or psychological well-being. But both the concepts are used interchangeably. Basically, mental health is kind of, it's a combination of your intellectual, your social, your behavioral, it's all combined together. And moreover, another distinction between these two concepts is mental health is kind of, it's, as I said, it's a more, over encompassing concept, and it's a much used in a much more psychiatric hospitals with a lot more, chronic patients. And emotional health is more more positive connotation. So they are used, just to simplify the concept, they are used interchangeably. But basically, mental health is more negative, more stigmatizing, more, kind of, not that kind of, more demotivating, more depressing. And the trend is more towards using emotional health. It's emotional health is a better concept, or even your psychological health. So emotional is a sort of more robust concept, more positive.
And where does IQ figure in all this?
IQ is okay. IQ is kind of, if you look at IQ, is just basically more reasoning, thinking, concentration, more rote learning. What Dr. Jay Mohan was saying, emotional IQ and intellectual IQ. So IQ is more kind of more factual. It kind of, more sort of kind of, that's why that IT, that example, and Dr. Mohan was quoting, people who have got high IQ, they're not essentially emotionally, intelligent, and you need both emotional as well as intellectual IQ. That one thing I was saying, kind of, normally there are in terms of personalities, there are three categories. One is kind of, people who respond to facts. They're logical in their mind. They're more factual. And one kind of category of persons is more emotional in their mind. They are like people say, हम तो बड़े hypersensitive हैं, हम जल्दी ही affect हो जाते हैं, हम emotionally charged रहते हैं. Those people are more emotionally hyper aroused. So best combination is, which comes with practice again. And what Kanal Sodhi was saying, and ma'am was saying, and Dr. Mohan was saying, that kind of, responding to kind of, combining both. Thoughts, feelings, and actions. That's the best combination. And of course, one should not feel guilty, because what happens, kind of, nobody's perfect. That we can't respond, kind of balancing all these things together. Sometimes in certain situations, fine, that is, accept your yourself the way you are. We respond more to, emotionally. Sometimes we respond more based on facts. But the best combination is kind of, that's called wise mind. हमारे ग्रंथों में भी, लिखा है कि दोनों चीजों को combine करो, है ना. और अगर आप 30% भी research कहती है, अगर आप 30% भी, है ना, आप 30 to 40% भी आप दोनों को, facts को, logics को और emotions को combine करके respond करोगे, which is wise mind, वो काफी हमारी healthy living के लिए. हम 100%, 100 times हम नहीं, because then we are not human beings. We are human beings. So we have to accept that, of course we aspire for, better, sort of life, until we kind of, till the end of our life. But basically we have to, it's, having a good enough life. Okay. Rather than kind of aspiring for perfection. अगर आप perfectionist होते हो तो आपके अंदर rigidity बहुत आ जाती है. आप एक ही तरह से बिहेव करने लग जाते हो, रिजिडिटी, जैसे ओसीडी भी होता है, ऑब्सेसिव कंपल्सिव डिसऑर्डर, जो मेंटल हेल्थ प्रॉब्लम्स आती हैं, तो आप ज्यादा, जैसे क्लीनिंग इज गुड, पर आप ज्यादा क्लीनिंग करते रहते हो, तो वो क्या हो गया, है ना, इट्स नॉट अ बैलेंस, it's not a good use of our time, and it's not a balanced way to kind of interact with our families, with our friends, क्योंकि हम सारा दिन क्लीनिंग में लगे रहेंगे और अपनी चीजों को अच्छी तरह से ऑर्डर करने में लगे रहेंगे, which मैम प्रिंसिपल was saying कि आजकल काफी लोग, हमने सर्वे किया है कि ओसीडी भी हो रही है पॉपुलेशन में, क्योंकि वो नहीं है जर्म्स की कंटामिनेशन। और अगर मेरे को बता देना, मैं पहले भी जब मैंने शुरू किया था ना, मैंने कहा मेरे को 10 मिनट मिले तो मैं 10 मिनट में खत्म करूंगी, उससे पहले करूंगी।
Thank you so much.
Carry on. I enjoy being asked questions. Thank you.
Thank you. We have another question, and this is from Nagasai. Is he here?
Yes. Yes, Pooja.
Can you just introduce yourself, because we want introductions also.
Hello,
And
everyone.
then
This is Nagasai Teja from University of Northampton, and I'm doing my honors in psychology and criminology.
Hi.
And my question is towards Singh sir. Sir, how do you think these world leaders would nurture emotional well-being during these times of crisis? Because hello,
Yes, we can hear you.
Should I repeat my
Supinder
question
sir?
again?
No, we have heard your question. Supinder sir is there.
Yeah, I'm there.
Sir, this question is for you.
Sir,
Okay.
yes, sir. So my question is, sir, how do you think these world leaders would nurture emotional well-being during these times of crisis?
What is the thing you want to know about the leaders?
No,
He-
I want to know like how these world leaders would nurture
maybe he's asking,
individuals' emotional well-being during the times of crisis, because as a whole, all these leaders would consider that a group of people are getting affected, or a group of students or a group of older people that are getting affected, but crisis.
maybe he's asking that even the managers are having a tough time in dealing with their team members. So at time of crisis, when they are going through crisis, how these team members can be managed emotionally by a manager? Maybe he's asking that.
Thank you. I'll answer his question the way I have understood.
Yes, sir.
He's more concerned about the global leaders, right? So when you say global leaders, I think you should, the right word for them is the global politicians, right? And
I'm sorry.
we all know
I'm sorry.
we all know what these politicians are and what skin and blood they are made of, right? If we are very clear with that concept, so our confusion, the morass will go away. Now coming down, the real leaders, the people who are really concerned about the society. So that's what I started. The first aspect of any human being is to be conscious for the emotional well-being of others. The
True.
emotional well-being of others systematically impacts you. Now it depends upon your circle of influence. Now, if your circle is limited to your family, then you got to be concerned about the emotional well-being of your parents, your sibling, your spouse, your children. Now, if your circle of influence is the college, in this case, then you got to be emotional well-being concerned of your class, your teachers, your professors, and your friends are added. Now, as you grow yourself in a bigger level, now you are leading a community at a smaller level. Then if you are concerned about the emotional well-being of the residents, in case of RWA president, the resident associations, so the emotional well-being gets transferred. If you are a local regional leader, then you start thinking on a larger platform. So the politician, on the other hand, thinks in a different manner, whether this politician is in Pakistan or India or Europe or USA, right? The politician, the underlying fact of the politician is to be in power. Now, it depends upon the society there that what type of politician they are selecting. A politician who is more power hungry, more greedy, or more tamashabaj, or the less power greedy, less tamashabaj, or whatever it is. So, the society of that place determines the type of the leader. The leader is the shadow of the society. I cannot say, like in my case, if I belong to Sikh community, the leadership in our Gurdwara is pathetic, right? So I can't say the leadership is pathetic. It is we the people who have elected, or we the people who have some people have not voted, or we the people who are being silent to them, we the people who are not active in that space. So the society is each one of us. So these type of sessions, if we can groom at a larger level, the society, each individual becomes conscious about the emotional well-being of himself, of others, then at the larger level, the society will be also emotionally well balanced, and you will have leaders accordingly. We had some great leaders in this world. Even in India, we had great leaders. So it all depends on the society at that part. So their interest is more towards their own protection, their own power field. No doubt they are doing their job. It is their job now to see that system functions, the vaccine comes in, the people are hospitalized, given medicines. So that is full peripheria comes into the picture. I hope I have been able to answer your.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, really. Thank you so much.
Our next question is by Miss Moitri. Miss Moitri, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you, Ishleen. Thank you, panelists, webinar. My question is to Dr. Jaya Mohan. Ma'am, how do we nurture emotional well-being in children from a very young age? How do we do that? Because as per your presentation, I understood that emotional well-being is better than in young. So how do we?
Oh, that is a wonderful question. Could you repeat your name, please?
Moitri, ma'am.
Moitri, please introduce yourself also.
I'm Dr. Moitri from the Department of Political Science, Mata Sundari College.
Okay. Hi, Moitri. It's a pleasure to be interacting with you on this interesting question. Actually, you're right. It is very important to inculcate emotional well-being in children, from early childhood. And if you are interested in the subject, very famous psychologist Daniel Goleman has worked a lot in the field of emotional intelligence. And his contention is that we should bring in emotional intelligence as a curriculum in all the schools, basically. But as long as it is not happening in India, what we can do is, from as a point of view of parents or as educators also at our level, we can make the children understand the complexities of social interactions, encourage them, and of course inculcate a lot of self-awareness in them. That is very important. As I had said in my session also, that when I do this exercise with my students, I ask them to list their weaknesses and strengths. You will be surprised to know that most of the students make a big list of their weaknesses, and they have very little to write about their strengths. So one good way would be to focus on encouraging children on strengths, identifying their strengths, and of course impulse control. Teaching them to control their impulse is also very important. So there was one very interesting experiment that happened, in one of the universities abroad, and Walter Mischel did this experiment with small children. And there were some marshmallows kept, and the children were asked whether there was some errand to be done, and the experimenter told the children that if you wait for some time, you get to eat 2 marshmallows. And but if you can't control that impulse, you get to eat the marshmallows, but you'll get to eat only 1 marshmallow, and you will be surprised to know that this was a longitudinal study. It went on for a couple of years, And the experimenter went out after giving the stars to children. There were some who waited for their share of 2 marshmallows, but there were others who couldn't, stop themselves, and they had immediately they took 1 marshmallow and ate it. And these children, when they reached adolescence, they were measured on their academic performance and their social success. And it was found that children who had waited for their share of 2 marshmallows were doing much better in their school performance, and they were likely to grow up into healthy adults. So impulse teaching them, impulse control, making them self-aware, and teaching them more about teamwork, about, social cooperation from early childhood are a couple of steps, that can make them into emotionally intelligent human beings. I hope.
Thank you, Dr.
Okay. Thank you
Jaya.
so much, ma'am.
Can I add one more thing to this?
Yeah, sure.
Basically,
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
Yeah, just kind of, when children at different stages of life, children respond to different kinds of reinforcements. So the question you were asking is kind of how to inculcate or how to make them emotionally more sensitive. I think it's a reward as well. Rewarding creative behavior, rewarding, like caring behavior. Because in our society, in India, because, I was in India 25 years ago. So basically, nobody kind of, the reward is more on academic success rather than helping behavior. If a young child, so it's all about, what we reward when they are little, what we value more when they are little. And that is with them forever in terms of, baby brain development. So how baby's brain develop. So, and kind of there's the kind of the aspect which get rewarded, they get remembered more. There's a very good book, it's Love Matters by another psychologist. It's excellent book. How, kind of when you reward helping behavior, when you reward creativity, and what impact it has on baby brain development. The areas, the frontal brain of of a baby tends to develop more rather than kind of the primitive brain. Primitive brain is which kind of a more sort of more fear-led, which is we need primitive brain as well for survival, but the frontal brain, which is reasoning, thinking, creativity, gets more sort of enhanced. So Love Matters is a very good book. I would by Sue Gerhardt. If I can send you the link later, if you want to read. It's a very readable.
Okay, ma'am. That will be great. That will be great if you can send the link. Yeah.
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 Thank you, Dr. Lakshmi.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Next question is from Farheen. Farheen, are you there? Farheen, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please introduce yourself and ask the question.
Jai ma'am, this is Farheen from Mata Sundari College. And my question is from Dr. Jaya Mohan. इमोशनल वेलबींग हमें अपनी स्ट्रेंथ को यूटिलाइज करने के लिए यूज करना चाहिए और फॉर फिक्सिंग आवर प्रॉब्लम्स.
Okay, that's another interesting question. In fact, your question is so much related to positive psychology, or I should say looking towards the positive things in life. And what positive psychology tells us, there are two kinds of behavior which we normally go about doing in our lives. One is the red cape behavior and the other is the green cape behavior. And red cape behavior is more about, mending things that are going wrong in our lives. And the green cape behavior is, basically inculcating or giving strength to our strengths, to our good characteristics, basically. So I would say that emotional well-being is a combination of both, because let me just, give you a garden to compare with. And so if you're, putting up a garden, there would be a lot of weeds and there would be a lot of, flowering plants that need to be nurtured. So if you don't look after the weeds, they'll just spoil your garden. So in that way, you need to, just keep on trying to mend whatever is going wrong in your life. But at the same time, you need to, put those flowering plants also in the garden to nurture them well. And that is so much to do about, using your strengths to go about life. And as a student, let me tell you, there is Martin Seligman, who is a psychologist. He is the founder of positive psychology. And he has, made a test. He's worked on character strengths, basically. And his contention is that the more you work on your character strengths and the more you utilize them in your life, more emotionally intelligent you are likely to be. And there is one link to test your character strengths, which is called the viacharacter.org. You can go there and you can test your character strengths. And of course, it will make you so much aware of yourself also. And I think
this is very, very beautiful question. I think in this crisis situation, if we are using our emotional well-being and emotional intelligence basically for the community welfare, I think we'll be doing a great job. And there are many examples where people are coming forward to help others. I think let me just start with the doctors who are in the front line fighting as warriors. They see the health workers. A lot of health workers are there who are actually working for the the community. So and also you see there are so many hungry people. There are certain resident welfare associations who are coming out and helping them. There are gurdwaras who are actually distributing langar, I think, and Bangla Sahib Gurdwara that way has taken up the lead, and they are distributing to so many lakhs of people every day. So these kind of things, and also another thing which is important is not only these things, but also you can emotionally revive them, and you can pass on, you can connect with the community in one sense, and then you can pass on some motivational videos and so on, and try to explain to them that what should be done and what should not be done and so on, and also revive their their spirits. So these all things are related, and I think community welfare is paramount in these circumstances, and we should not only think about ourselves but also about the community at large. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Pooja and Ishleen. May I request Mrs. Gurvinder to extend vote of thanks to all the panelists, guests, and the viewers. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. On behalf of NCC Mathusundari College, extend a warm vote of thanks. We had a wonderful panel today with priorities of each panelist set in development. Priorities of Professor Dr. Harpreet Kaur set in education and spiritual development. Of those of Dr. Jaya Mohan in well-being of students. Dr. Badwar wants to pay back to her dear country, and Lieutenant Colonel Sukhwinder Singh Sodhi has a selfish objective of taking his society to greater heights. What we saw today in the webinar is the projection of their personalities. A big thank you to all the panelists. You definitely shared insightful observations about emotional well-being, and you stimulated our thinking. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation for our able leader, Professor Dr. Harpreet Kaur. Ma'am, a very special thanks for all your yeses. Yes, we can. Yes, go ahead. I extend a special thanks to Manjeet Singh sir and to all faculty members for encouraging us. Deep gratitude to Dr. Pranita Gaur for effectively moderating the entire session. Thank you, Ms. Charanjit and Dr. Pooja for being there for us always. Ishleen, can't thank you enough for your tireless efforts. Senior Under Officer Farheen, Junior Under Officer Deepa, Shivani, they are the people behind this show. It's all your hard work. Thank you, all my dear cadets. Thank you, wonderful participants, for participating across the national boundaries. Thank you for asking interesting questions. deep sense of gratitude towards panelists for taking up those questions and elaborating on the issues which were of concern to the participants. Thank you, each one of you. Each one of you contributed to make this webinar a success. Together, we did it. Thank you. Dr. Pranita, I, on behalf of NCC Matasundari College for Women, extend a warm vote of thanks. We had a wonderful panel today, and I'm here to tell you that the priorities of each panelist is set in development. With Professor Harpreet Kaur, that's great importance to quality education and to spiritual development. Psychologist Dr. Jaya Mohan, with her priority being well-being of students. Dr. Badwar, she wants to pay back to her dear country. And Lieutenant Colonel Sodhi has a selfish objective of taking his society to greater heights. So what we saw today in the webinar is just the projection of their personalities. A very big thank you to all our panelists. Thank you, Principal Ma'am, for your able.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was pleasure connecting with each and every one of you.
Thank you.
Same here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
all-
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be on the panel today.
Same is
Thank you, Jaya. Thank you, Jaya.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lakshmi.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Okay, bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Mr.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Singh, thanks so much for joining.
Okay, thank you so much. My pleasure.
Thank you, sir. आपने बहुत ही अच्छा explain किया, बहुत ही अच्छा होता है. We are very happy and really enlightening to listen to you.
And also my
Thank you.
team is working so hard for it. And so,
Thank you. Thank you.
oh, each one of you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
ma'am.
Thank you.